I was going to say hi, Tom. Hi, friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley Ariana, out of the flow of things. How you guys doing? And Tom, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Ashley. How are you?
Wonderful. Hard start, but getting into it. Okay. How am I doing actually? The sun just came out like this hour.
Cool. Good.
Which I'm loving because it looked like it was going to pour down rain earlier, which I did not love. Also, yesterday / today, you might notice I have a little bit of energy in me.
Yeah.
And I think that's because I've eaten a lot of really yummy, good food, which is exciting because, Tom, I got food poisoning this week on
Yikes.
Tuesday. Is it? I got it on Tuesday. No. It would have been Wednesday. I woke up at like 4 a.m. and have you ever had food poisoning?
Yeah.
Tom, it was.
And it feels like it wants to jump out of your stomach, and it's just a really insane feeling.
Out of your stomach, out of any way that it could get out, it wants to get out. I'm someone who, like, knock on wood, thank God, I don't really get sick often. And when I do, I'm kind of, and I don't think this is like a smart thing to do, it's just how I've always been. I'm like a power through it type of person. Before COVID, I would like go to work. Now I try to make sure that I'm not like affecting other people, but like I still usually work out. I like pretty much do everything as normal, just like I feel more shitty while I'm doing it. This was not that at all. I not only was like throwing up and doing the other stuff, but I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move my eyes. It was so like, I've never in my memory, like in the last 20 years that I can remember, just been horizontal, laying down for 12 hours. The only time I would get up was to go to the bathroom, and I was laying on the floor, like my bathroom is like here, and then there's like carpet. I was just laying on the carpet right there. And anytime I would just turn, I would feel nauseous. It was so horrifically horrible.
What a nightmare.
It was all day. I felt, I mean, it was started like in the morning, but like, 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. I ended up getting like a Zofran prescription, which is like for nausea. At like 7 p.m. my doctor sent it in, and I feel so horrible. My partner was out of town, and his dad offered to drive me to the hospital to pick it up, the pharmacy to pick it up. And I hadn't thrown up since like 1 p.m. and it was like 7, and I hadn't eaten anything all day. I couldn't even keep down. I tried to drink.
No chance.
Pedialyte. I was like shaking. And so at that point, I'm like, there's nothing more for me to throw up, and I haven't thrown up for multiple hours.
So you thought.
Got in the car, got almost to the hospital, was like, oh my God, I'm about to throw up. Sorry if people, I know throwing up is gross to talk about. But it comes on like in 5, it wasn't like, oh, I feel nauseous. Oh. Like it was like, I don't feel good. And then all of a sudden it was like, I'm going to throw up right now. I took off, I was wearing Uggs. I took off because I was like, I can't just throw up in my partner's dad's car. Like, this is mortifying. And so I just threw up all in my boot, also in his car. So anyways, that was a shit show. I eventually got Zofran. I only took it once because I'm not huge on taking medicine if I feel like I don't need it. I felt really weak for like Thursday and Friday, Saturday even, but I went to the doctors. I got like blood work done. Because I didn't go for a couple of days after, they couldn't tell me like exactly what caused it, but they were able to like make sure my vitals were getting back to normal. Like, just when you puke so much, you have to like make sure you have potassium and all that. And then, like I said, yesterday I was drinking like a lot of soup. Yesterday was the first day that I ate more normal food, and then today as well. So that's how my week's been.
Great. Yikes. That stuff's scary because all you do sometimes is just open your mouth and just this lava flows out of you like a volcano. And it's just, are you kidding me? And you've got no control over it. It just has a mind of its own. And takes over your body, basically.
It is scary too, because like like I said, with normal sickness, I kind of feel like I can, I'm in some sort of control. Like I feel shitty, but I'm like, I can still like steer the boat. This was like this, no matter like, I'm just a vessel for dying right now.
Yeah.
That's the only, so it was absolutely horrible. What was more scary is I didn't eat out at like some sort of restaurant or something. I had gone grocery shopping that week. I don't know if this is smart, but I like threw away like $50 worth of groceries because I just anything that I had like one bite of, I was like, I don't know what caused it, so I just threw everything away. Because
it's expensive, but it's necessary because you don't know.
Yeah, one, like I would obviously pay $50 to not get sick again, and then two, I'd pay $50 to have the peace of mind that like
that nothing else is going to trigger it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway. Anyways, I am feeling back to normal. I aside from the getting food poisoning, struggle with stomach issues. And so something that I do is like I drink a little bit of apple cider vinegar in water before I eat food because it's supposed to help with your digestive enzymes and stuff. And I wasn't able to do that because it was so acidic. And today was the first day that was able to like kind of do that again.
I can't even consume any of that stuff. It's so foul. I mean, if you weren't throwing up before, after you take apple cider vinegar, you will. No. Anyway, let's move on before I start throwing up too.
Yeah.
Psychosomatic throwing up.
So I'm feeling like good today, not just because I'm not sick, but I'm actually like I've had a couple of days of like having food and I feel my energy and I'm like excited to be in life again, which was cool. Good. And I'm also excited this weekend if my dad is watching, which sometimes he does.
He's
I'm
here.
Gonna go up and see him. I was supposed to go this weekend that just happened, but with all the getting sick thing, I was like, I can't go out to dinner right now when I'm gonna die, So I'll be excited to see my dad. I'm gonna see some friends and stuff like that as well.
Great.
Moving into NFL talk, 49ers news. There's some contract negotiations maybe gone wrong with Trent Williams. And I think you and I talked about 49ers seemingly only option, and they put themselves in this situation. Like they could have had other options, but because they did nothing to insulate themselves, we kind of were saying, I think that they're going to have to, give him at least a small extension, Trent Williams, to satisfy him and to spread out the money over 2 years at least. I saw some because the Texans have made a move and there's free agencies beginning. I saw some hypothetical scenarios that had to do with Trent Williams, and I thought I would run it by you if you would be open to it.
Yeah.
So Ian Rappaport today, after announcing that the Texans were trading for David Montgomery from the Lions, the running back, he said the Texans and the Browns had reached an agreement to send the starting right tackle, Howard, to Cleveland for a 5th-round pick. Lombardi quote tweeted this, and 49ers beat reporter, and said, what if the 49ers, what if the Texans call the 49ers for Trent Williams? SF simultaneously has an opportunity to get younger and more cost efficient at left tackle with Rasheed Walker, plus more draft capital.
Rasheed Walker is the best free agent tackle in the market, but he's an incomplete player. He's good in pass pro and bad in run blocking. Is that who the Niners want to attach themselves to? I wouldn't. Now, you can say he's theoretically available, but it's a steep drop from Trent Williams to Rasheed Walker. In my opinion, they'd almost be better off just drafting a tackle at that point because you're not getting that much better. You're getting a better pass protector and a veteran guy who's strong.
Yeah.
And so at least he has NFL's core strength, which some of the draft guys don't.
Yeah.
But you're not getting much in run blocking. And if you take Trent out, you lose your best run blocker. They already had trouble running the ball last year. Plus, Kittle's not going to be available in the beginning of the year either. They're not going to be able to run. I mean, if they bring in Rasheed Walker to replace Trent and don't have Kittle, they're going to average like 3.2 yards per carry. It's going to be bleak. And that's part of the problem with Trent is that if you let Trent go, you're going to lose a lot because you're getting, even at 38, one of the top 5 tackles in the league.
Yeah. The Texans are seemingly, really going for it. They had an opportunity to get there last year. No offense, but CJ Stroud just played horrific in his final couple games. But I like that they're adding to because the defense is obviously incredible. Their offense has been really stagnant. So I think it was smart for them to get a running back. I wouldn't think it was impossible that they do at least call on Trent. Like, obviously, D'Amico has been with the 49ers. It's, open. I have a question for you. John Lynch and Kyle have both individually said they listen to phone calls on anyone, even themselves.
Yeah, sure.
You think they have that same approach with Trent, or is it no matter what we're going to do?
I think they'll listen. It's more a question, though, of if we're going to move off of Trent Williams, you better give us the sun, the moon, and the stars. I mean, one of the things that Lynch is known for is asking for too much. And so that's probably going to make it difficult for Trent to move. Plus, if you're Houston, you want to make sure that you've got Trent locked in. So you would want to have him signed to an extension before you trade him.
Yeah.
And Trent wants the sun, the moon, and the stars. So is Houston willing to do that? If they are, then the trade can be made. I mean, they can offer a second-round pick, but it's also what kind of cap room do they have to absorb Trent's contract? And can they get him to sign an extension? And if the Niners do move off of Trent, there's still plenty of cap issues that you'd still need to deal with. So, it's difficult to figure out exactly what's going to happen. Now, if they cut him, then it's a $4 million cap savings, and that's it. It's not a lot of money.
No.
They can do a post-June 1 designation cut. And at that point, they can save $25 million off the cap, but not until June 2nd. So you wouldn't have that cap room to spend now in free agency is the point.
So what would be the point of it?
To save the $25 million long term. Is if you're the Niners, you always try to roll over, at least historically, $30 million in cap space into the next year. And so what they could do is say, okay, we were going to hold that money back, but now that we know we've got the $25 million in cap space coming, they could spend all but $5 million of their cap room, knowing that they've got the 25 coming in June.
Okay.
They could do that.
That makes a little more sense. At first I was like, I don't care if you're saving money for no reason, but if it frees up space because they can take some from here instead of saving it, I guess that makes sense. Julie says, will Trent ever play an entire season again? Likely not. I want to pose Julie's question to you, but switch it a little bit. Is Trent's value, especially on the 49ers offensive line, which is an important distinction, so high that even if he misses, if he misses a shit ton of games, it's obviously not worth it. But 1, 2, 3 games.
And he usually does. He usually missed like 3 to 4 games a year. This past year, he didn't. So, but when Trent doesn't play, I think they've won once, so they're like 1-7. That's how important he is. And as you said at the beginning, Kyle has made this worse by not drafting a tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time the Niners took a tackle was, more in 2021 in the 5th round.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't drafted a tackle for 5 years.
Yeah. And what I would say, like I've seen people say that, like Trent, more injury prone and older. This would be a different conversation to me if it was last year and we were talking, or even now, and talking about drafting his replacement. But with no insulation, I'd rather have Trent for, 14 games this season than no games this season.
Right. Especially if the replacement is Rasheed Walker. I mean, Lombardi didn't think it through. Rasheed Walker is not a very good player. This free agency pool at tackle is historically bad. It's one of the worst years of tackle in free agency in recent memory. It's bad. So, no, I think that what the Niners would end up doing is drafting a tackle And then you're really going back to square one because those guys might not have the NFL strength to really be an effective player in year one.
Yeah.
So to me, and what I think they'll probably end up doing is they're either going to extend Trent for a year or two, and then they're finally going to have to either this year or next draft a tackle to replace him. But there's still no guarantee, even this year, that they're going to draft a tackle.
Is there? That makes me so violent when you say things like that. I have a question. Is there either a trade, like a player or a pick? Because I will say, I don't think Trent's getting no one's going to give a first for Trent Williams right now.
Not at 38. Yeah, he's still a top 5 tackle. It's just the thing that you're not going to willing to give a great asset for is because you have to sign Trent at 38 to an extension. And so the question for the other team is, we'll give you something better in terms of the draft pick, provided you take on some of the cost.
Yeah.
Niners being relatively frugal, we're not going to do that. And so you're not going to get as good of a pick. Just in terms of a top 5 tackle, should automatically get a first round draft pick. But because he's 38, because of the extension, that draft pick value goes down.
Is there a trade you would agree to? Like you're saying, Rasheed Walker. No, what if it was Walker plus? I don't know.
Walker's a free agent, so he's not part of a trade. He's a free agent from Green Bay.
Damn. So in this scenario, what if the Texans call on Trent? The Texans aren't trading anything. They're just, the 49ers are just giving Trent to them?
Well, if the Niners trade Trent to Houston, then Houston would offer presumably a second or a third round pick and maybe a player if you're lucky. But they would need to have the cap room to absorb his new extension. And so there's a lot of stuff that would make it difficult to pull off a trade. Houston would have to come to an agreement with Trent before they do anything.
Is there a team, maybe a team drafting higher? Like, is there a certain second round pick plus player that you would be open to trading Trent with? Or is it leaves your offensive line so,
well, to me, it leaves them so decimated that it's difficult to recover regardless.
How good the player is. Yeah.
And as your dad points out, it's a steep drop off no matter what they do because Kyle kept kicking the can down the road. Exactly right, Leroy. This is their own mess. They created this. It's their fault. It's specifically Kyle. However, you get to this point and you say, okay, do we cut him? Do we trade him? What do we do? If they aren't willing to meet Trent's price, then I would think that the most likely thing they would do is cut him with a post June 1 designation to save the $25 million in cap room on June 2nd. Because that's what helps them most financially, and you would get rid of Trent for financial reasons. So the best financial scenario for them is post June 1 designation cut. Trade to Houston, there are other teams that would love to have Trent Williams, but Houston is the rare example of a team that thinks they're a contender, thinks they're a Trent Williams away from winning a Super Bowl, and therefore they're going to be more motivated to make something happen. They're going to be willing to pay Trent because they think they can get a ring. There aren't that many teams that are in that kind of a situation. So Houston is one of the rare teams where a trade, in theory, could make sense. But it's still hard because you have to agree to an extension with Trent. You have to work out all the cap stuff. And you have to come up with what's the right compensation back to the Niners. Hard to do.
Yeah. And this is a maybe fan, I don't think necessarily the 49ers front office, at least not everyone in there is feeling this way, but I don't really care about how much money you're saving. Like, are you taking yourself out of playoff Super Bowl contention? Or
I don't think they're in Super Bowl contention anyway because Seattle and the Rams are further beyond them. But to your point, does this make them uncompetitive to the point where they're probably not making the playoffs if they trade Trent? And I think that would be true. Even if you got Rasheed Walker, I don't think this is a playoff team if they replace Trent. Yeah.
So to me, you can't do it. You're not.
And I've written about that before, that Trent has them over a barrel, that they have to extend him. If they want to make the playoffs this year, that's what they have to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think right now they're third best in their division. In order to do something in the playoffs and go for a Super Bowl, which I agree with you, I don't think they're in that level right now. But I mean, they probably thought that last year and then got pretty far because the rest of the NFL was so mediocre. To me, it's just like to take yourself out in the off season is so ignorant. Like, the best team in your division, their defensive line is incredibly dominant and has made your quarterback run for like 300 yards or something sideline to sideline because of the pressure and the inability for other guys to get open. Like,
and that's with Trent.
How many sacks Brock Purdy's going to take? Like, it's you just have no chance before. Like, I'm not even talking about playoffs. You have no chance in your own division. So anyway, I think.
Well, but they could look at it and say, because we're not a Super Bowl contender, we're just going to have a rebuilding year. We're going to
again
deal with all our financial stuff because you still have to get rid of the core in order for them to be financially sound where the Yorks want them to be. You need to move on from all the aging core that costs a bundle. And so you let go of Ayuk, you let go of Trent, stuff like that. But then you bring back Debo. So what are you doing? So it's hard to make all this out, but the fundamental problem here is dysfunction. It's the Yorks don't want to have to pay these giant signing bonuses to people on their fourth or fifth contract in an extension, but they give Kyle full control of the personnel, and Kyle wants to bring all these people back until they retire. So you can't have both. If you want to save your money, okay, then you need to hire an outside GM with personnel control above Kyle. It's the only way you're going to solve this problem. Otherwise, we get into this back and forth where Trent's going to come back every 2 years and say, okay, money time.
Yeah.
And eventually they're going to have to say no. If they say no this year, I think it means that they're out of the playoffs, because even if they signed the best tackle in free agency, it wouldn't be good enough.
Yeah. People are saying, I just think they tried to say last year was the rebuild year.
Yeah, well, they're still in a rebuild because offensively, they're still in the core. You aren't out of a rebuild until you've got all of the core replaced.
Yeah,
you've done that to a degree on defense, but Kyle has said, no, we're not doing that in my offense.
I tend to agree with Eric Gomez, who's in our chat, who thinks that Trent is going to come back and they're going to be amicable. I think as long as they pay Trent, he's going to be happy. And I think he feels like he has them right where he wants them. I don't think Trent feels like there's bad blood. I think he's like, this is business and you're going to pay.
I don't blame Trent at all. I think that Trent is just saying that, no, look, I'm an independent contractor here. I am probably in the last gasp of being able to go for one final bag in an extension. This is the last time in my career I can do this, so I'm doing it now. I don't blame him at all. He's going after his money. Everybody, more power to you, guy. And it's the Niners can only look in the mirror as to why Trent has this much leverage. And it's, you don't draft a tackle since 2021. This is the situation you're going to be in.
Tom, at SI, one of your coworkers, is that peers, I guess you would say, wrote about some free agents the 49ers could get. And so I'm switching the topic from Trent Williams. Okay. I think what happens with him will be what we predicted next year. I'd be shocked if they did move on from him. And I'd also be very disappointed. What I wouldn't be disappointed with is if they tried to go for it, because every year that's what I want them to do. And maybe that's naive. Maybe there should be this embracing of like down years. But in my opinion, if they were going to do that, it should be fire sale for everyone. Right now, John Lynch has another year. Kyle Shanahan has 2 more years. I think Brock Purdy's deal is negotiable in 2 years. So right now, I think it doesn't make any sense to blow it all up. It'll kind of come to that eventual conclusion when everyone's contracts expire around the same time, which is soon. So for right now.
So Lynch at the end of 2026 after this season.
Yeah.
Kyle in 2027, Brock in 2027. And I think that they structured that with a turnover in mind, that if we move on from Kyle, if we move on from Lynch, we would hire a brand new GM who would want a brand new quarterback. Now, that's when it makes the most sense to have a full-on reboot.
Yeah.
Is after the 2027 season.
So, Tom, what if the 49ers, instead of giving up, are looking around and they go, well, how are these other teams being so successful? The Seahawks in our own division just won the Super Bowl. Maybe what we need to do is take a note out of their book. And by that, I mean, take a player off their team. So, Riq Woolen, cornerback. 49ers have definitely struggled with their secondary. I think more so at safety than cornerback, but none of it is incredible. Although I don't know, up and stout, I was excited about. De'Amaro Lenore did his job. He wasn't targeted as much because I think people knew that they could target the other side of the field. But I'm seeing rumors about Woolen. Obviously, Seahawks, been pretty good for them. You live up in Seattle. Have you heard about this rumor? And what do you think about it?
Most of the Seattle fandom would drive Woolen to the airport. A lot of them want him gone.
Oh.
And the reason is he's inconsistent.
Got it.
Physically, he's what Raheem Morris would want. 6'4", 4.3, 4.4 speed, great closing speed. And when he's on, he's one of the best DBs in the league. But he's very up and down. Riq Woolen is a big part of why the Niners won game 1 in Seattle here, because he had the missed coverage plays of Ricky Pearsall and then the touchdown to Tonjes. Both of those were on Riq Woolen being out of position. But since then, Woolen played really well. It's just that they've got Josh Jobe. They think he's better, and he's better, younger, cheaper, and so they can move on from Riq. And the question for the Niners is, okay, how much would Riq cost? And that comes down to, what's the rest of the league going to do? The league needs DBs. He's going to be popular. And so are the Niners going to go after Riq? Probably not. This is the case of somebody putting basically connecting the dots, saying this is the kind of player that Raheem Morris likes. This is the kind of player that Jerry Gray can work with. And here's a free agent, and he plays for the Seahawks. And so they're just connecting all that and saying, therefore, Riq Woolen. But have the Niners actually talked to his agent? Have they shown any interest? We haven't seen anything like that. I think this is more of somebody deducing what makes sense than the Niners actually making contact. But we'll find out. We'll get to free agency and see if they've contacted him. But my guess is the Niners don't want to spend that much on any one player.
That's fair. It's just, we did see Kyle Shanahan and Renardo Green having that argument on the sideline where then he was momentarily benched, but then his replacement came up and gave up a touchdown after he gave up a catch. So I had heard, I think also Larry Krueger talked on his show, and who knows where his source was from, but he said that Ricky Pearsall and Renardo Green were two players that might end up being on the trade block this year.
They could.
Due to lack of meshing rather than actual production. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's just they might not see them as fits.
Yeah.
That over time they've seen what they think works, and for whatever reason, Kyle doesn't like what Renardo Green has done. Ricky Pearsall hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he's too small to be healthy.
Yeah.
He gets in the game, he gets beat up, he gets hurt, and he walks off to the sideline, and here's the sideline reporter, Ricky Pearsall. We don't know if he's going to come back. It's just after a while, you just have to move on. So I buy that from Larry, that might be what the Niners want to do. It's just at what price? What are you going to get back for these guys? Not a lot. They'll be selling low. But in terms of Renardo Green, I think what they would like to do is hang on to him, but make him depth that you need a new starting defensive back on the boundary. And this is a good draft for corners, but not necessarily boundary corners. There's some bigger DBs, but not a lot of them. So they would need to prioritize drafting a DB in order to make that happen.
And
they could.
Is Woolen a boundary corner? I saw he has a lot of interceptions.
Yeah. Woolen is a boundary corner. He's big. He's 6'4". and great speed. So yeah, he's a boundary player.
But he could be
and he's got ball skills. So that's something that Raheem definitely wants. Part of the problem with Renardo Green is he doesn't get picks.
Yeah. No. It has here. Woolen has 12 picks in 4 career seasons, where Renardo Green has 2 interceptions since high school.
There it is.
That's not great.
Yeah, and so why would Raheem want to move on if your defense is based on taking the ball away? You don't want Renardo Green on the field.
No. And the 49ers,
and so that's part of why I buy what Larry's rumor is that they might want to move on from Green. Problem is that you drafted him in the 2nd round. What can you get for him right now? A 4th or a 5th if you're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I'm not opposed to them getting guys who can catch the ball more. Like, it is, I mean, going against Matthew, just looking at, like I said, who knows if they're going to get to the playoffs? I'm focused on their division. If Sam Darnold is still the quarterback in Seattle, he will give you an opportunity to take the ball away, but that's not really even an element for the 49ers because they don't catch the ball. Same thing with Matthew.
Well, and they didn't have a pass rush this year because Bosa got hurt. So
yeah,
in theory, they get the pass rush back, but you do need guys with ball skills in the secondary to make it work. Because in the past, prior to like 2022, the Niners were last in the NFL, tied with the Jets for the fewest interceptions since Kyle took over. And then Jaquaski Tart had the drop in the NFC Championship game, and then they got religion. Then they said, gee, we need ball skills. And so they add ball skills to the secondary, first in the league in interceptions the next season. That's how important ball skills are.
Tom, who was the guy? Sam? I think he's with the Colts now. He was like, he would be on special teams and random things, but he always caught the ball. And I always wanted him to like start. The corner from Penn State, but he made too many mistakes for them. They didn't like that he was taking gambles and then getting beat. Yeah.
But Indianapolis didn't have a problem with that. They moved on.
Moving on from cornerback, like I said, the other, potential, and I think, by the way, watching John Lynch talk at the Combine.
Yeah, Sam Womack. Sorry, Chad, thank you.
An area of, sorry, I didn't hear that. An area of need for the 49ers is wide receiver.
Yeah.
This article suggests a wide receiver. I think it's the opposite of what the 49ers need, which is to get younger and faster. But I'm going to float it because the rumor is there and people are discussing it. And apparently the player side would be interested. I just don't know if the 49ers would be interested. What about Mike Evans? To me, old and because of old, not because he's a bad player, but gets injured.
Yeah, well, he missed 9 games. Yeah, he missed 9 games last year. And he's going to be 33 when the season begins. But, that's what Kyle likes. He wants the veteran guy that he can rely on, and he's going to redshirt the kids that they draft. So there we are. I buy the Mike Evans rumor. He fits what Kyle likes.
Yeah.
But I look at all these free agent rumors and I say, okay, we've got Mike Evans going to be 33. Joey Bosa is going to be 31. Joel Bitonio is going to be 35.
Yeah.
I mean, what does all that say?
They're like older.
Right. And so what are the Niners really doing here? They're shopping for senior discounts. They're looking for a free agent to sign cheap. They want the senior discount so they don't have to spend more than $9 million per. And that's the dance that they had with Joey Bosa last year. They offered him 9, he got offered 12, off he went. They're trying to pull the same stunt this year. They're trying to get guys for $9 million or less. So they're shopping for senior discounts.
Got it.
That's what they're doing. So if there's anybody that makes $12 million or more, chances are they're not interested.
Yeah. They are going to have to add to their wide receiver room, though. Obviously, Lynch said when the free agency, New Year officially starts, that's when Brandon Ayuk is officially not on the team, although he hasn't, in my mind, been on the team for a year. Juwan Jennings is expecting to get paid, probably around 15, 20 more.
I think he moves on. Somebody will offer more than what the Niners would.
Well, you and I talked about the Titans. There's going to be a team that sees additional value in maybe his leader, his presence as a veteran, where the 49ers have enough veterans. They don't need that right now. I think he'll get paid higher somewhere else. But that leaves the 49ers wide receiver room really decimated. And like I said, maybe Ricky Pearsall, like the number one guy, and he hasn't proven that he can stay healthy yet. So that doesn't make me feel confident. But even if Ricky is healthy all year, you have to have more than one wide receiver. I mean, so they got to.
What are they going to do? They're
I
going
just
to
don't
bring
think
back
Mike Evans is the
Debo.
solution because, as you said, like what is, he's also not consistent enough to make me feel confident.
Right. Yeah. Well, and Linguini says that he would like Mike Evans. I love Mike Evans, but he's 33 when the season begins and he missed 9 games last year. It's just, how often are you getting Mike Evans? If we can get the Mike Evans of the past, sure, I agree with you. But will we? I don't think that it's realistic to expect Mike Evans to play every game next year. I don't see it. So that's the reason for my objection. I'm not objecting to the player. I'm objecting to his availability. Romeo Dobbs, Tennessee wants him. They have the most cap room in the league. That's not going to happen either.
So they'll pay him more.
Yeah.
God dang it, Robert Saleh, what are you doing? Don't you gonna treat us like that? Someone said hire Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans, he probably doesn't need to because he's made so much money in his career, but could be a good like assistant coach later on if he wanted to. Yeah. But that's the role that he needs to start thinking about, or at least that the 49ers need to think of him in, not as a reliable starting wide receiver.
Yeah, so, well, I think it's clear what the Niners are going to do. They're going to bring back Debo, and they're going to draft at least one, maybe 2 wide receivers. I'm dead serious. I wish I was not. I wish it was a joke. It isn't.
If they bring back Debo, it's such a cry for help. It's so, John Lynch, like, sign your, like, goodbye, letter. Thank you so much. Had a great time being your GM. The second you do that, because you just showed complete incompetence.
Sure, but that's not John Lynch. Everybody knows that's not Lynch's call, though. That's Kyle.
I know, but yeah. Both of them, that's where if you're Jed York, you got to be able to, like, veto something and be like, come up with a better plan. And if you don't come up with a better plan, you're both out. Like, you're not.
I would love that, but we're doing good luck.
2019 fucking revenge tour again, dude. That's ridiculous. Anyway,
it is. But don't blame Lynch for that. Blame Kyle. That's all. That's 100% Kyle.
Yeah. That would be upsetting to me. And I did see that.
Me too. It's a foolish mistake. You don't do that. But do I think they will? Yeah.
The tea leaves, as people say, are there, right? You saw Kittle was talking him up. Brock Purdy was talking him being Debo up. All in the recent combine and when they had the Super Bowl, anytime they've gotten in front of a microphone, they've talked about him. Debo earlier today was on some podcast and asked about his, the best quarterback he's ever worked with. He, tried to laugh it off and was like, don't make me do that. But I've worked with 2 excellent quarterbacks, being Jaden Daniels and Brock Purdy. Hilarious, by the way, that Jimmy Garoppolo is sitting somewhere like, dude, you got paid. But maybe Debo thinks you were a backup as soon as I wasn't your wide receiver. So who knows which player helped each other more there. But yeah, it's just, I'm not a Debo hater. I feel like I was a Debo supporter for longer than the typical Niner fan. Like, people started to get over him, and I was still, like, holding on because he was so special that year. His special year, in my opinion, and maybe it's just, like, the memory of it or the nostalgia, was even more special than Christian's special year. And I don't know, like, statistic-wise, that is probably not true, but just how it felt. I remember that Chicago game and how the season was kind of going downhill, and it just, he just grabbed the wheel and was like, we're winning. And they won that game, and they won. But it's over, and that's okay. Like, you can go, we loved that Debo was a player. He's not that guy anymore.
No. But I agree with what you're saying, though, that Debo in his, MVP year, for lack of a better term, was dominant.
Yeah.
It felt like nobody could stop the guy. And he could lose for a touchdown and gone. The ultimate explosion, the one-play drive. So, yeah, I thought that Debo in his year was better than McCaffrey, but both were amazing.
Yeah.
But still.
But either way, you don't
Are
need
they
to
going to
see-
bring Debo back? You know, the reporting today was both sides are interested in a reunion. Here we are. Prepare yourself is all I'm saying. I am with you 1,000,000%. Do not do this. I think they
Tom,
will.
it's so
I think they
stupid.
will.
Okay. Well, that makes me upset. Moving on from Debo Samuel, other free agent rumor, and this one you actually brought up just when you were talking about trying to go veteran shopping. They were, trying to get him last year, but weren't willing to pay enough. Do you think that the Nick Bosa brings his brother and it's the Bosas here in San Francisco? And would that even be good for the 49ers? Like, would
Is
Joey
it
Bosa
good? Probably not. You know, Joey had an exception of a year in not getting hurt for once, but you go through his history and he usually misses a ton of games every year.
Yeah.
Will he sign here? It'll all be about the money. The Niners will be out there with a $9 million offer again, and it's a question of if he gets more. Given that he had decent stats last year, he probably gets a little more. So I don't think that Joey Bosa will end up being here because somebody will offer him in the double figures. They'll offer him 10, 11, something like
that. Is 9 million like the veteran minimum, or why is that the
No, it's just them being cheap. It's just we don't want to spend 10, so we'll spend 9. And it's the $9.99 mindset at Walmart.
God, makes them feel better about themselves. Cool. Yeah, I mean,
save money. Yeah, okay.
Typical to pretty much everything you've said about the last few players, maybe aside from Woolen. When I'm talking about a free agent rumor and whether or not I think it's a smart move for the 49ers, I try to I think you should approach things with like a plan, right? So if our plan is to get younger and faster, not cheaper, I think they should spend more money this year. Then that needs to be at the base of like your yes or no. And is there going to be like depth pieces, depth guys that are older or just filling in, as your third string guy? He might not be faster, and sure. But if you're looking for adding starters on your team, they should cover younger or faster or healthier. Like those three things should be foundational for your starter player. Like I want to improve. I'm not trying to go back or stay the same. And so I have to look, okay, what does this person do that was on my team last year? And is whoever this person I'm considering, are they younger? Are they consistently more healthy? Are they faster or more physical? If the answer to literally any of those four questions are no, they're worse, bad move because you weren't good enough last year.
Right.
So you can't get
right. Yeah, it's just last year should be a baseline of saying that we're not going to fall below that. We're going to get somebody better, younger, cheaper, faster, better. Yeah, but that means more expensive. And a team that's shopping for senior discounts and free agency is delusional to begin with.
Yeah.
Who offers a senior discount in free agency? Only if every other team isn't willing to give them what you're offering them cheaply. Yeah. If they have any other option for more money, off they go. And so it's the other problem with having this tactic is you have to wait every free agent for every domino to fall before they say, okay, no one's going to give me more than you, so I'll sign because I can't get more anyway. Yeah, that's really going to get your free agent fired up to be a part of the team. Come on. But it's just this is what we've got. And it's a function of Kyle keeping the old core, and then you extend these guys and extend these guys and extend these guys, and it's just crazy expensive. Plus $53 million to Brock. Yeah, it's just everything adds up.
Yeah. Tom, speaking of trying to get better, we look at our offensive line. In a little bit, when I'm done with the free agents, I'm going to talk to you about the draft and offensive line in the draft. But to finish up with this article, because it was 5 free agents that the 49ers could be interested in. Number 4 is Zion Johnson. He's a guard. what is your opinion on Zion? And is he in the 49ers price range? Would it be a good move, bad move? I don't know. And I'm not huge on knowing offensive linemen, to be fair.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he had some problems with the Chargers. He's an up and down guy, but he's a younger player, former first round draft pick, nice player. And there's a lot of people that think Zion can be still has some room in his game to grow, and he's young enough that they're going to do that. Gwendy, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So yeah, we'll have to see in terms of what's going to happen, but there's an article from The Athletic last week that specifically talked to the Charger free agents and what they're going to do, talked to Joe Ortiz at Indianapolis. And the takeaway on Zion was that because the supply and demand is so out of balance in the offensive line, especially in free agency this year, where the offensive linemen available are bad, there's only a few nuggets, and if only a few nuggets that are young. Zion's one of them, and therefore he's going to get bid up. And the Athletic had their projection for Zion. Entering the combine, they thought he was $16 million per. Exiting the combine, they think that based on what the conversations they had, $20 million per. That's way more than what the Niners are willing to spend. Therefore, Zion is well beyond the Niners' willingness to pay. Sorry. All of this, now, all these guys, you want younger, better. Yeah. And he costs 16 to 20 million. And the Niners, they're saying, we want our senior discount for $9 million. Yeah, it's just, you can't cross that bridge.
Do you think that they would be willing to spend more on the O-line specifically? Like maybe with like an old Joey Bosa, but I mean, they're so decimated on the O-line, it seems.
Yeah, but there's
Is that the problem?
There's such little talent in the offensive line and free agency is the problem. So you've got the center in Baltimore, and he's gonna Linderbaum, and he's gonna have 3 teams that are offering him 19 to 20 to 21. That's more than the Niners are willing to spend. So that's the Giants, the Raiders, and the Chargers are after him. Off he goes. Guard, there's only a couple of people that are good. The guard from Buffalo, they want to keep him if they can. And then Sayamalo from Pittsburgh, that's a guy that I've written about before. He's 32. In theory, you could get him for $9 to $10 million. He's somebody that would be in the Niner price range, but because there's so few guards available, he might get bid up too. And he's a good player. I mean, he was top 7 in pass pro and in run blocking, both. And so he's still a very productive elite player in his production. And therefore, is he willing to take a hit? Probably not. Even though he's 32, chances are he's still going to get somebody that really needs offensive line help that's willing to pay more, and off he goes. But if I was running the team, I would prioritize signing Isaac Sayamalo as a left guard for the next 2 years. Then you draft a left guard in this draft, and you develop him behind him.
I feel like you and I have kind of talked about that. Like, to me, that's doable.
Yeah, it is. Because in theory, he's no more than 10 because he's 32.
Yeah.
But because the supply is so limited, he might be able to get more than 10.
It might be
the only thing that factors into it is this is also a good draft at guard. It's not a good draft at tackle. It's a decent draft at center. It's a good draft at guard.
It might be worth it, in my opinion, to get a solid guy who is like, in most cases I want to get younger, but to me this is a step to getting younger, because you would be doing this with the thought that you're also drafting someone and bringing them up and making that transition with that player. So it's kind of, you're doing a plan that not like this guy is our guy forever, but that this guy helps us in a situation where, like I said, in order to compete right now, you need improvement, but also the contract can be short enough that you can transition away from him before it's, he's too old.
Right. So it serves your financial goals, and it serves your team well to have 2 years of development for the young guy that you draft, who's then ready to step in after those 2 years. It makes a lot of sense for them, but it requires them valuing spending $10 million now on Sayamalo. Kyle isn't.
Number 5, Falcons player. So maybe the connection here is Raheem Morris, but it's on offense. Tyler Algier. Is that right? I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, he's a
Running
power
back.
back. He's a guy that runs in between the tackles, but that's what Jordan James is for.
Got it. They just
So
spent
Algier wouldn't be no. I would think that they would be more likely to target somebody like Kenneth Gainwell, who's a run pass guy who showed a lot of running ability last year, but he's going to be popular too. He's probably going to cost more than 10. So is he out of their senior discount pricing range? Probably. I think that what they'll end up doing is they'll draft a speed back and they'll keep Jordan James, and then they'll have those three guys will be their rotation.
Okay. I don't love that, but you're probably I hate that you're good at predicting what the 49ers do.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It's always negative. It's always jaded. It's always the worst outcome, but it's usually what happens.
I think
it's how they run the team.
Tom, I wanted to ask you, because you put out a tweet. We talked about last week. There's a key stat that the 49ers focus on when they're watching the combine, especially, we spend a lot of that time just talking about offensive line. You said that there's some guards in the offensive line. Obviously, they have needs at tackle. What offensive linemen stood out to you, and which ones do you think stood out specifically to the Niners based on, I think it's like 20-yard?
Yeah, the 20 shuttle and the 10 split within the 40 are the two things that they look at. And Mr. Corey, I did say running back rotation, but I think that's going to be forced upon them. I buried the lead. I think that NFL history proves when you give a running back as many carries as the Niners gave to Christian, he'll go down. And therefore, they're going to have a running back rotation forced upon them.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I would transition Christian to a third down back and give carries to other players. But my plan was to get Travis Etienne, and Kansas City is courting him. So here we are. So I think that they're going to go the cheapest possible route because they've already spent so much money on Christian. Christian's going to want an extension too, by the way. It's not just Trent. And Isaac Garendo, given that Kyle won't play him, what's the point? Just let him go.
He's like a non-factor.
Right. So we'll see. But that would be my guess, is that if they go running back in the draft, they're going to want the speed back in the draft. And so that would be Mike Washington from Arkansas. In terms of the combine at offensive line, Rutledge from Georgia Tech, Dunker from Iowa, Parker Brailsford, the center from Alabama, Logan Jones, the center from Iowa. Those are the guys who ran well in the 20 shuttle and also look good in the 10. So those are the guys that are kind of top of mind in terms of what Kyle prefers. Those are guys that are going to be on their radar. So, we'll see what they do going forward, but those are the guys who are quick.
Can I ask, like, out of those guys, I know you're narrowing this down by like a 49er stat, but do any of them stand out to you? Do you like any of them? Do you think
I like Logan Jones. Jones is the center from Iowa. Iowa is well coached. They're technically sound. He moves really well. He carries his weight well. He's a solid blocker. He's smart. You want somebody that's high IQ at center.
Yeah.
And I think that Logan Jones would fit that role well. Yeah. It's, does he go in the third? Does he go in the fourth? People are kind of in between. The problem is that he would probably be picked maybe after the Niners pick in the third, but before their fourth round pick comes up. So that's the decision they need to make in the third round is, do we take Logan Jones here in the third? Possibly. And then it's, are they willing to take a center and a guard? In this draft, given that they saw speed, which Kyle always values, they saw speed in the 20 shuttle and the 10 split at center and at guard, then there's more players on Kyle's radar at both of those positions, which increases the chances, in theory, that he's going to look at drafting them. But, to be determined.
I wouldn't be mad at that. Like, I know O-line isn't sexy, but I've been wanting them to look more at O-line. You mentioned a guy Freeling, but then you said he might be gone by 27 now, but I've seen him on other mocks to the 49ers. So is he?
It's possible. He goes in the 20s, probably.
Okay.
But there's some people who think that he might end up being the top ranked tackle when it's all said and done.
Oh.
Once people bring him in, he's so impressive.
Got it.
In terms of his physical skill set and that he's young, that he'll keep climbing. But as of now in the mocks, he's in the 20s. and probably goes before the Niners pick at 27. And he's somebody that they would consider because he moves well and he's really long. He's 6'7", and he carries his weight well. He moves and pulls. He does the things Kyle wants. The problem with Freeling is that you wouldn't be able to do what they would ideally want, which is somebody that could move inside a guard until Trent retires and then go to left tackle. Yeah. Freeling, I only see as a left tackle. I don't think that he's somebody that could move inside and be effective. There are other players who could, but
is he not big enough, or what? I believe you, but I'm just curious what makes that criteria.
There's a number of factors, but mainly it's play strength, that he doesn't have the NFL core strength yet, and so he needs to develop that. He's the kind of player you would want a red shirt. Okay. Even though he's technically proficient and has all the tools, he still has to develop into an NFL body. And so at guard, that would be a problem, is that would he get a lot of push off the line in his current form? Maybe not. So you would want somebody with more force off the line at guard than what Freeling could give you. Freeling, basically, it's his arms and that he's got agile legs. He moves his feet well. And so he has that, but he doesn't have the power to accompany it. So that's an issue. So we'll see. There's one tackle that they're going to visit with in the 30th. That was just reported a couple days ago. Travis Burke from Memphis. Burke is 6'9", 315. He ran a good 10 split. He's considered to be a UDFA, though. So why are you bringing a 30-visit player in when, A, you don't have a 7th-round draft pick, and B, he might not even go in the 7th round? What are you doing with a 30-visit for a UDFA guy?
Jesus, dude.
I don't understand that at all.
No.
But anyway, he's a player they're interested in, Travis Burke from Memphis.
You've talked about Sadiq. How did Sadiq do at the combine?
He was a freak.
Got it. So,
he ran 4.39, which is the fastest in over a decade. He jumped 43. He was a beast, which everybody expected. The problem with Sadiq is drops, and that people think he's too short for tight end. He's 6'3", 245, but really juiced up. He's a high torque athlete.
Kadon Proctor is a project but has all the tools. You have to be confident the 49ers could develop him. And then really quickly, just because I saw a different comment, this is exactly what you said. Seahawks fans would ship him off.
Yeah, they would. So Kadon Proctor, Kyle in the past hasn't gone for that body type. Proctor is huge. He's a mountain. And he's 360 pounds is the problem. But Proctor has a lot of natural speed. And so if he could get down to, say, 330, 320, he could be a great player in the league. So you need to meet with him and say, would you be willing to commit to get down to 320, 330? If so, we're really interested. Can you commit to doing something like that, or do you want to continue to make that your playing weight? So that's why you bring him in. That's why you talk to him. But yeah, well, I wouldn't have an issue with Kadon Proctor at all as far as the draft pick, provided that he made a commitment to the team that he would lose weight and drop another 30. If he did that, he'd be a great player in the league.
There was another guard that was mentioned by one of your colleagues, but I think he might be gone by the time the 49ers are there. Maybe, we've talked about trading up for Sadiq. Iwani, am I saying that right?
Ioane. He's the guard. A lot of people have him as the best offensive lineman in the draft. They think he's that good.
I like that though. Yeah, I don't like it for the Niners drafting at 27, but is he worth moving up into? Would he be like around 25, 20? Like, would they have to move up a lot, or?
In theory, he could go as early as 14. Baltimore. Detroit would look at him at 17. The Chargers would look at him in the early 20s. So the concern with Ioane is one of those three teams is going to take him. So if you wanted to trade for him, you would probably have to wait for him. Yeah, from Penn State, Mr. Corey. Would he fall past 14 and 17? Now it's within a realistic trade up range where you have to jump the Chargers to get Ioane. Would that be worth it? Yeah. But do I think he lasts to that point? Probably not. There are some people who are wishful thinking their way into Ioane's going to last. He's in this mock. He's after the Niner pick. No, he's the best guard. And according to some people, including Dane Brugler, he's the best offensive lineman in this draft. But he doesn't go earlier because of positional value at tackle.
Yeah.
But he's the best guard in a lot of people. He's the guy. But by my projection, I don't think that he can last past all three of those teams when all three of them are looking for a guard, and he's exactly what they need.
Yeah. We've seen the Ravens pass us up for an offensive lineman before too. So you don't want to depend on that. Were there any other highlights from the combine before we wrap it up to you, guys?
There's a lot, but we can go over it next week where we can break it down by position and say who's up, who's down, who the Niners looking at this draft slot.
Okay.
Who do they look at in the first round, second, third, fourth, and go at it that way. But there's a lot of good things that broke the Niners' way. The offensive lineman ran fast, which puts more people on Kyle's radar. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
There are receivers that fit the offense that can help, like Omar Cooper. There are a lot of X's in this draft, but I think that the Niners being interested in Mike Evans says that Kyle isn't sold on the X receivers in this draft. He'd rather have Evans.
Oh, I did. I guess we could talk about this next week too, but since I have you, I saved it. Where was it? It's in my saved. It was a guy that was mocked. I think PFF might have done it. I feel bad, so I want to get his name, but I think it was the guy with the stutter. If you know who I'm talking about, he's the
Casey Concepcion. He's the wide receiver from A&M.
I think he was mocked by, was it PFF to the 49ers?
A lot of people have Concepcion to the Niners because he fits, in theory, he fits. He's got great acceleration. The 0 to 60 on him is great, which allows him to be a breakaway threat for Yak. However, 10% drop rate, 4 fumbles in 2 years. So he has the traits that Kyle would like, and the execution that Kyle would bench in redshirt.
Yeah.
Is that who you want them to pick?
Not me. You don't see the field.
The chances that Concepcion would get redshirted are high. The chances that Cooper would get redshirted are low, provided he stays healthy for the camp install.
Yeah. I want to say what's up to Lewis. We are about to end the show, but the cool thing is you can scroll back and start from the beginning, and then we'll be back next week. But I'm interested in the Concepcion situation. Anyone who struggles with drops with Kyle scares me, especially at at any position, but at wide receiver, he holds them to a whole other standard.
Right.
Last guy, Chris Bell is also.
Chris Bell, he had an ACL injury in season, so he's still recovering from that. But he has I know it's. Gee, why do we have the most injured team in the league? Niners draft coming off an ACL injury this year. Chris Bell from Louisville. Would you stop?
I'm sure he could be great. Stop. The 49ers just got ranked the worst training staff and the worst training room in the league. They're not the team to take those chances. Or they shouldn't be. They are the team to take those chances. But
they do. And it's why they're the most injured team in part. Yeah. But the rumors are out there that Kyle likes Chris Bell the most, and he's got the physicality and the speed that Kyle would want. Bell would be like a faster Ayuk, and so that's something that Kyle would very much appreciate. But he has an ACL injury. He hasn't played since. Okay. But if Kyle wants to redshirt the receiver like he always does, then this is the one time when it would make sense. You would have an injury redshirt, but an injury redshirt for your first round pick?
Again?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's going to be really unpopular right now. Maybe before, like if you had been successful all the other years and you could take, but like you need players right now. You don't have,
Yeah, and he might recover in time to be okay, but we don't know that right now. I haven't seen projections on when Chris Bell returns. I don't know. All I know is that he had an ACL injury in season and missed the rest of the year.
It would be, I'm not trying to be down on this kid. It would be a disappointment for me right now the 49ers, I just think can't take that chance. And I'm saying this knowing he could go to a different team and be great. I hope so. Nick Bosa got ACLs in college and has been great. Obviously, then tore his ACL again this year, but is on a Hall of Fame track if he can at least stay healthy from here on out.
Yeah.
So this guy could be great. I as a fan could not get behind that right now. Not with.
Oh, me either. Yeah, I don't want Bell for that reason.
Not.
Yeah.
They don't have to right now.
I'm with Scub and Pat. I would draft Omar Cooper. Cooper isn't as fast as Bell though.
Yeah, you mentioned
where they're different is that Bell is faster. Cooper isn't as fast, but Cooper is best in the draft at breaking tackles after the catch. He has 27 missed forced tackles.
Yeah, I agree with those. We need immediate contribution. Cooper could be interesting. I feel like there was a lot of buzz around him to the 49ers a couple weeks ago, and it's died off.
Well, because he keeps moving up. The more that people see him, they say, this guy's pretty good. So, it could be that Cooper ends up going right before him. Buffalo could look at him. Philadelphia, Howie Roseman loves Omar Cooper.
I hate when other teams want to get the players that we care. Dude, they're going to give you players. This is the last player, and then we're wrapping it up for today, and we're going to have a whole show of players next week.
Bredesen, that's what the would-be fullback. I like Riley Nowakowski. Riley Nowakowski from Indiana is the guy that I want to replace Juszczyk. He is a bowling ball, 6'1", tight end H-back type that's as technically sound a blocker as you're going to find. He's great at run blocking. He pancakes guys. I want Nowakowski. He's 7th round or UDFA.
Yeah, you've talked about it.
Bredesen is the other one. But yeah, give me Nowakowski all day. Love his technique.
Vin or Vernon,
If Proctor's there at 27, yeah, but it's Kyle. That's the thing that most of the time when people are saying it has to be this guy, and then my answer is always it's Kyle. Kyle doesn't take these body types. 360 pounds, Kyle says no.
Yeah, he likes
which is why you need Proctor to commit to losing the weight in the interview, and then the Niners can do it. On a talent basis, I think that Proctor can be one of the best tackles in this draft. He might be a great guard too. He's somebody that could play at guard and then move to tackle, which is what the Niners want. So you can only draft one player, but get the value of both positions. That's something they like. So yeah, I'm with you, but Kyle isn't. My expectation is Kyle's going to Kyle, which means Kyle will take a wide receiver at 27.
I know something. Tom, I had a great time today, and I really appreciate everyone giving their ideas in the chat. I assume by next week, you'll have an article up, and then we'll do a comprehensive, kind of combine draft reaction or like pre-draft show who we think, is going to go first round, second round, all that. And maybe position groups, who moved up, who moved down for us. I always really appreciate your knowledge when it comes to these players. Tom and Ashley
Thanks,
should.
Ashley.
I
wish, Corey.
Anyways, I love you guys so much. Please follow, if you, like me, appreciate Tom's knowledge, follow him, NinerCast, on Twitter. He gives extensive breakdowns with guys' names and about them and all that. And where the 49ers are looking versus where Tom's looking. His articles are very comprehensive. So make sure to check those out on Twitter, and make sure to like and subscribe because that helps my YouTube channel, and make sure to come back next week because we'll continue to be getting really into it because free agency starts. Is it on Monday? Next Monday?
Yep.
So I mean, and then there's the tampering period. So we're gonna have lots of news next week because I'm sure that
we're gonna start to have rumors about who the Niners are actually gonna look at.
Yeah.
But if
maybe Joey Bosa is on the team next week, Tom, you guys better
we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of dust in the air, and we'll see if the Niners are willing to spend or not.
Dude,
they don't need to sign Debo early. Debo will sort through. the early free agent process is the biggest dominoes fall first.
Yeah.
So we'll see if the Niners have anybody. It might be too early by then.
Thank you guys, everyone in the chat. I really appreciate it. Love you guys so much. Stay healthy out there. Take your vitamin C, shower, wash your hands, all those things. Talking to you, but also to myself. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you next week. Love you guys. Tyler Linderbaum. We'll get into it next week. Love you guys. Bye.